Welcome to Help Your Math. We're going to look at how to solve a linear equation when we have fractions. So there are a lot of ways to do this. If you're very comfortable with adding and subtracting fractions, finding common denominators, then you're going to solve this like any other linear equation where you isolate your variables on one side and your constants on the other side and ultimately isolate x. Some of us are not as comfortable with fractions, and we would really like to just get rid of them. So in order to get rid of them, what we can do is we can find a common multiple for all of our denominators, and then we're going to multiply by that common multiple. So let's just write that down. Find the common multiple of all denominators. Then multiply everything by that number. Don't forget this everything. Ideally, you want it to be the lowest common multiple because it'll make your number smaller. But if you don't do it by the lowest common multiple, it really doesn't matter. Okay, finding the common multiple of all denominators. How do we do that? The best way to do it is to start with the largest denominator. Then you're going to ask yourself, is it a common multiple? So in this case, the largest denominator is 6. 6 is not a common multiple because it is not a multiple of 5. Okay, so what do we do then? Add it to itself. And you're going to ask yourself again, is it a common multiple? And we have the same problem. No, it's not a multiple of 5. So we're going to keep repeating. 12 plus 6 is 18. That doesn't work. 18 plus 6 is 24. So once again, that doesn't work. None of these are multiples of 5. 24 plus 6 does work because 24 plus 6 is 30. 30 is a multiple of 5. Now, some of you may see this right away, that the lowest common multiple is 30. And some of you might not. And it's totally fine either way. If you don't see it right away, this is what you would do. You take the largest number and you keep adding it to itself until it is a common multiple of every single number. How do we know it's a common multiple? If you divide 30 by 2, you get an integer. If you divide 30 by 3, you get an integer. If you divide 30 by 5, you get an integer. Okay. So 30 is our answer here. Now what do? We multiply everything by 30. So you could put parentheses around the whole thing. And when I say you multiply by 30, you're multiplying by 30 over 1, okay? And it's getting distributed, and just so that this is very clear, you're doing this to both sides. You're multiplying both sides by 30 over 1. And we're distributing. Okay. Now the next step is going to be dependent on how comfortable you are with canceling numbers. Okay, so some of you might be very comfortable and some of you might be very uncomfortable. So I'm going to add in an extra step for those of you who are less comfortable. When we multiply by a fraction, we're multiplying the numerators and we're multiplying the denominators. So over here on the left, again, you can skip this step. But on the left, we get negative 90 over 2 times x plus 210 over 3. Then on the right, we get negative 5 times 30, which is negative 150 over 6, plus 270 over 5. Okay, so what you're doing is you're multiplying every numerator by 30. Okay, then these will all reduce because negative 90 over 2 becomes negative 45. So we get negative 45x. 210 divided by 3 is 70. 150 divided by 6 gives us a negative 25. And I apologize, I forgot to write an x here. And then 270 over 5 gives us 54. Okay, for those of you who are comfortable with canceling, what's going to happen is you're going to realize that this, the 2 cancels, so negative 3 times 15 is negative 45. Here a 3 cancels and you get 7 times 10. Here a 6 cancels and you get negative 5 times 5. And here a 5 times 5 goes into 36 times. So you get 9 times 6, which is 54. So if you didn't understand anything I just said, just do it this way. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so once you get to here, now we're going to get our constants to one side and our variables to the other. I prefer having my x's positive, so I'm going to start by adding 45 to x to both sides. So negative 25x plus 45x is going to give us 20x. So we get 70 is equal to 20x plus 54. And then we could subtract 54 from both sides. Okay, this is inverse operations. We have a plus 54. So to move it to the other side, we subtract it. And 70 minus 54 is 16. So we get that 16 is equal to 20x. Divide both sides by 16. Divide both sides by 20. Because we want to get rid of the 20 next to the x. We're multiplying by 20, so we divide by 20. And I like to have my x on the left, so we can say that x equals 16 over 20, but we like to have our fraction in simplest form, so we're going to reduce it. 16 and 20 both have 4 as a common factor, So x is actually equal to 4 over 5.